about 30 minutes. Your rain will end in the next hour or so. Could be a few more showers overnight, and out in the suburbs, some more snow way out there in the hills of northwest Jersey. Roads are in better shape now. The rain has ended, so we've had a chance for the water to drain off. And with an offshore wind taking over, that is not an eroding wind, so the beach erosion problems, any more beach erosion is very unlikely. So a few more rain showers overnight. The morning commute in the tri-state area looks pretty good. But again, if you're traveling north, up the thruway towards Albany, you'll run into some very heavy snowfall and out towards Syracuse. So again, check ahead if you're traveling north, but for most of you in the tri-state area, pretty decent commute tomorrow morning after a very stormy day today. Back to you, Jeff.
As bad as that was, Mike, before we wrap it up here, you have to imagine how bad it could have been if it were a lot colder and that was all snow you were looking at.
We would have been looking at least a foot, if not maybe a foot and a half of snowfall, and we would be probably up to here in snow. And you know, if you could think about that with 60-mile-an-hour winds, the drifts would have been amazing. But fortunately, it was liquid for those of us who don't want to dig out of a foot and a half of snow, and we'll all be back to work tomorrow in some way, shape, or form.
All right, thank you very much for reporting and really kind of sticking out those real strong winds earlier tonight. Thanks a lot, Mike Seidel, reporting to us live from Sandy Hook in New Jersey. And now joining me at the update desk is Kevin Roth. And Kevin, let's kind of put a wrap on this one from the update desk. The storm by no means is over. In those areas we just talked to, Jim in Bedford, PA, and Mike up there at Sandy Hook, it appears that everything has really calmed down, and in those areas it has, but we still have a lot of storm to deal with here.
This storm is still very deep, and it is still strengthening somewhat, and it's lifting now across the Long Island Sound, and it'll be getting into Connecticut. So the gusty winds, and you had mentioned earlier, there's a high wind warning along Connecticut coast for the next hour or so. Those gusty winds will be translating even a little bit inland, so inland areas, maybe about 30 miles or so inland, could expect some wind gusts on the 30 to 40 mile an hour range.
Okay, it could be some power outages and some trees down as well. Let's go ahead and show what we're talking about as far as the radar is concerned, and I'll put it on into motion here. Mike Seidel reporting to us from right there, Sandy Hook, and you can see the rain now lifting to his north, and Jim Cantor reporting to us over here in Bedford, and you can see the darker greens just to his east. Looks like from maybe Breezewood, PA on up through maybe University Park and Williamsport getting some of the snow now.
And it's gone over to snow in Harrisburg. We do have some colder air wrapping in. The upper level low is still back in this area over northern Virginia, and with some of that colder air lifting northeastward, it is starting to change the precipitation over from southwest to northeast now, from liquid to frozen precipitation.
Okay. And as Mike was mentioning here, looks like some of this rain may work its way back up to him in the New York City area, but it looks like the heaviest rain is probably over with. We've also been getting some reports of some sleet up here. In fact, right up here in the Delaware Water Gap, up to about 7.5 inches of snow.
What we thought was sleet earlier on the radar has turned out to be snow, at least down at the ground level. So they are getting some impressive snow totals, and I'm sure Sussex County, New Jersey as well. All
right, Kevin Roth, thanks a lot for keeping us updated here at the update desk. And again, if you want continual information on this system, you can always check us out at our website at weather.com. Right now, Kristina, back in the studio, has a look at the rest of the nation's weather and that all-important forecast for tomorrow.
Thanks, Jeff. Most of the west is dry today, but high winds are still causing some problems. Meanwhile, parts of the Midwest were hit with snow today. The snowplows headed out in force earlier today in downtown Chicago. 1 to 2 inches fell in the area, which slowed down traffic just a bit. Temperatures were in the low 30s and gloomy skies prevailed. The snow will taper off soon, but you may get a few flurries tomorrow. Now let's see what's going on out there. The big picture, of course, Jeff just showed you the snow in the northeast and mid-Atlantic states. We also have some snow still lingering in parts of the south and also the Great Lakes region. We're dealing with a bit of lake effect snow here and some wintry precipitation through the northern plains and windy conditions in the west. We'll take a look at all of that. First of all, snow's still falling here in parts of northern Georgia, northern Alabama, and through Tennessee. And again, generally light snow for the most part, with temperatures in the low to mid-30s, Atlanta, Birmingham, and Nashville. And a look at the radar shows where the snow is falling at this point. Again, nothing terribly widespread. Nevertheless, the chance for some flurries overnight in places like Atlanta. To the north we go, and we are dealing with some lake effect snow here and the potential for some heavy amounts of snow into the central UP of Michigan. Look out for that. And the snow continues to fall over lower Michigan and even around Chicago. You've had some wintry conditions here too, and still some scattered showers around the area, around Gary and Joliet. Finally, to the west we go. Not a lot of precipitation here. We do have some windy conditions, and we also have some cloud cover, but underneath those clouds we are not dealing with much precipitation. But again, the winds will be quite strong here, so look out for that, especially as we head on into the Plain States and the Northern Rockies. Well, let's see what's in store for that forecast for the rest of the country. We'll still be watching the Northeast on Tuesday morning for snow as this low still around. Also some very windy conditions here. Offshore winds in this area could be quite strong. Snow, the Appalachians on into the northeastern U.S. Also watching this area of low pressure as it is going to drop off towards the south and the east, and we will have some snow with it. The west, not a lot going on here, but again, watching this low, maybe St. Louis getting a bit of snow as we head into Tuesday afternoon, and the snow still falling in the northeastern U.S., and we will still have some lake effect snows for the UP of Michigan and into lower Michigan as well. Heaviest amounts of precipitation expected in the northeastern U.S. We're not expecting much precipitation at all elsewhere, but here in the northeast, much of this will be falling as snow, especially through parts of New York and northern New England. Look out for wintry weather, and back towards the Appalachians on towards the south, we will see maybe 1 to 3 inches in western North Carolina. Of course, overnight, those temperatures are going to be pretty chilly out there, not only in the east but in the west too, with some of the higher elevations dropping below zero. Chilly in the upper Midwest too, and all the way down to the Gulf Coast we will see those temperatures dropping down into the 30s. So look out for that, the panhandle of Florida, as we head back on towards Louisiana and Texas. Here are those high temperatures for your Tuesday, and pretty clear that we've got a trough in the eastern U.S., and because of that we have got some very cold temperatures with 30s and 40s for highs well into the deep south. A little chillier in the upper Midwest in the teens, and a little warmer in Texas. Will your ride to work be a wintry one? Find out where the travel trouble spots are coming up on Travelwise. Your local forecast is next. Stay with us.
When you're on the go, get the Weather Channel forecast from these sources. It's the same reliable information you get from us on TV, prepared by our 80 meteorologists. And now your local forecast.
You get 3 or 4 chances at it in 1 week. Well, it certainly looks like it's spreading down across Atlanta at this point. Maybe getting a few flakes, maybe some light accumulations on the grass, especially around Rome and up toward Blairsville. There it is on your surface map. Real light stuff around Atlanta. It's been snowing for a couple hours now around Huntsville and at Nashville. Now there's a snow advisory out for central Tennessee because you're getting a little bit of snow, and it looks like you're going to see some light accumulations on the roads. It's a little colder up into Tennessee. Now it's 31 in Nashville, down from 33 about an hour ago. So it certainly is cold enough here that that will accumulate on the roads. Meanwhile, in Atlanta, around Birmingham and to the north, it might be just warm enough that the roads will be fine, unless overnight tonight it drops below enough and that second round of snow comes in. So remember, we still have a chance of more snow. At least the winds are calm in Nashville. You know how you figure that out? If the wind, chill, temperature, and the temperature are exactly the same, there's no wind. Meanwhile, in Atlanta and Birmingham over to Charleston and Raleigh, it's kind of brisk here. West winds at maybe 25 miles per hour, so it certainly feels cold. Here's the Clipper, our second storm. Storm number 1, of course, moseying its way slowly through the northeast, while this one kind of brings up the rear. Some light snow. It's even warm enough in Missouri for rain. As this comes down through the region, we will see another round of snow way down south. So we may end up with some light accumulations. For the most part, we're talking about 1 inch, a little elevation, 2 inches, maybe 3 in a few locations. So our second storm is certainly not as well wound up or strong as the first one. Temperatures here, yeah, a little chilly. Look at Fargo. 10 when it feels like 23 below. Some strong north to northwest winds are blowing through here, so it is going to feel cold. Heading west, Denver 36, you're above freezing. Salt Lake City is as well. How about Los Angeles 81? Kind of nice. Hey, that's the place to be today, I guess. High pressure in control, and that perhaps is creating a little bit of an offshore component. Kind of nice. We've had a lot of snow here. As a matter of fact, you can see it real well in the visible. See this right through here? Not moving. It's not clouds. That's snow on the ground. New Mexico has had a lot. And while we've had a little bit of a break this week while the east has gotten all the action, that's about to change back. See this storm out here in the Pacific? This one's going to inch closer, and as our jet stream flattens out some, we'll see a number of disturbances come in the first few days of 1998. So let's check our forecast and you'll see how things change. Here comes our clipper, and there it goes. It's to the coast by lunchtime. Raleigh, you might end up with a little more snow. Out it goes by late afternoon. Now, by Wednesday afternoon, only the snow belts are really getting the action, and most of the rest of the country is quiet. So we'll find mainly snowfall and then a quiet period for about 24 hours. And then as we hit Thursday, the first day of the new year, we're going to see more rain and snow, but not in the east. Looks like this next go around, it will be in the west. Well, the snow's not stopping. Major amounts have fallen in much of the northeast. How much more is expected? We'll give you the complete story, and we'll check travel conditions coming right out.
It's that time of year again, tax season.
So you could find gusts to 30, maybe even 40 miles per hour at times, but that in itself wouldn't be a big problem if it weren't for, of course, all of the snow. So keep that in mind. Even as the snow tapers off, it's going to continue to blow back over the road, so it's going to be difficult to keep them cleared through tonight. Tomorrow should be much, much better in most locations, but the lake effect is going to continue. So if you live in the snow belt, you know how that works. Storm ends, everybody else happily goes about their business, and if you live, say, around Syracuse or up toward Watertown, you may continue to get it around Buffalo, east of Cleveland. So this is the latest radar, and it looks like we have a little bit heavier snow, perhaps right here where you see a little bit darker green. Otherwise, it's actually pretty spotty. It's not as heavy as it was earlier in the day. Now we're getting a little round coming through Nashville. Well, it looks like it may have ended by now in Nashville and maybe to your east. Sometimes snow doesn't all show up on the radar, so if it's still snowing where you are and it doesn't show it on this, that would be the reason. But it is coming down through northern Alabama and right down through the Atlanta metro area. This is just going to be a brief round, and then we may get more tonight as the clipper comes through. Now I want to show you tomorrow afternoon's map because it shows you where the clipper is by late tomorrow. It's already out to sea. This one doesn't last long. But during the nighttime hours, it will head through the south, make the turn, and head directly east. It does not head north, again, to places like West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York. We've had enough. So tomorrow, a quieter day. In the meantime, we still have some heavy accumulations of snow for the night.
How is your weekend weather looking? The Weekend Outlook just ahead.
I know you like Fresh Step cat litter, but this one was on sale. So I thought...
Just any cat litter just won't do. Fresh Step neutralizes ammonia odor and freshens with every step, so your whole house is fresh.
Okay, you win.
Fresh Step, fresher with every step. Scoop, now available with baking soda.
Cazzo, ma che se volessi dire più basta? Ma che basta, basta, piacere.
Perché guarda, una bellissima opera.
E tu come hai fatto a vedere l'opera con questi occhi viaggianti, eh? Sì, tu! Ti ho visto guardando quella soprana.
La soprana?
La soprana?
Ma che soprana? Io ho guardato... Quale soprana?
L'unico spettacolo, sei stato tu! Sei stato tu l'unico spettacolo! Sei stato tu l'unico...
E basta! Mi devi far capire. Che c'entra la soprana? Tu la guardavo così, ci vai tu, e ci vai tu, e ci vai tu, e ci... Oh! Dai, Romano!
The Mazda Millennia, so accommodating, the steering wheel repositions itself as often as necessary.
Well, time to make your plans for New Year's and beyond. What are you going to do on Friday? Well, it's warming up. You won't have any more snow, and even those snowmen should be melting at pretty good pace here. With 50s coming back to Nashville and Atlanta, no complaints here. 60s return to much of Louisiana and all the way up to Raleigh. Just might hit that 60-degree mark. Stays cold here in the northern plains. We've started to kind of change things a little bit. Jet stream pattern is going to be a little flatter. So instead of it being chilly in the east and mild in the west, it's going to be a little bit colder in the northern plains. And that really sticks with us through the weekends. Colder air than we've seen really through most of the season so far. And another change is that the east will be quiet, at least for a few days. In the west, because we have the jet stream coming in like this, it's going to throw in one disturbance after another, and it looks wet for New Year's Day in Seattle and in San Francisco. Looks like by Friday it'll be coming back down toward LA. Snow will fly in the mountains. At this point, it doesn't look like we have any real big snowstorms for you, so you might be able to get around okay this weekend with just a few slick spots. And then this indicates where our next front is coming in from the north. Just a little cold air, no real heavy precipitation expected with that one. Stay tuned for our winter weather update.
Stay with the Weather Channel. We'll bring you the latest information on the heavy snow covering parts of the Northeast. Find out what's ahead on WeatherScope on the hour and half hour.
Can your radio?
Well, pain index has certainly shot up there with the increase in moisture, the cold air, the changes in pressure. So everyone from Minneapolis to Nashville to Boston could be feeling it. If you suffer from arthritis or you've ever broken a bone, sometimes the weather can be predicted by your aches and pains. So you may be feeling it here, hopefully getting better within a day or so. Respiratory distress is almost in the exact same area. And when it's cold and windy, and it is today, that can bother you. If you suffer from asthma even, places like Des Moines, Cleveland, on over to Buffalo where it's getting windy and snowier as time goes by. Stay with us and we'll talk about that chance of lake effect snow coming up over the next 24 hours.
I've got it all. A great family, a great day planned, and the worst cold.
Don't waste precious time on a cold. Take Alka-Seltzer Plus, the only cold medicine that combines ingredients to relieve your worst symptoms with a burst of effervescence that's ready to speed relief the instant you take it. No cold pill can do all that, so get Alka-Seltzer Plus and get back to what's really important. Alka-Seltzer Plus, the strength and speed you need.
The weather is changing right now. That's why the Weather Channel is monitoring and tracking weather that affects you and those you care about. Check in with us for updates today and every day.
In just 5 years, Churchill's has grown from $1 million to $5 million in sales, and Churchill's thanks you. But we want to grow even more. Our goal for 1998, $6 million. We need to get moving, so Churchill's is having a fast start sale. We closed for 2 days, marking down prices, and nothing is held back. Save up to 50% on pool tables, stools, fireplaces, gas logs, fireplace doors, desks, entertainment centers, and spas. Also, wicker and patio furniture. Come to Churchill's fast start sale.
Kotsovas Furrier says now's the perfect time to step in and step out with fashion's most up-to-the-minute look. Leather and fur created by the world's premier leatherwear designers. Soft, supple, fur-trimmed leather coats and jackets. From top-grade English lamb to black leather with silver fox. The exciting new fashion news is leather. So take the time to step in and step out in luxurious fur-trimmed leather from Kotsovas Furriers.
This is your local forecast. Weather information you can plan on, only on the Weather Channel. The Weather Channel. No place on Earth has better weather.
This winter weather update is sponsored by Heavy streak right over the mountains. Our storm's already kind of heading up into Canada. The problem zones probably over the next 24 hours will be the snow belts, where now the wind's starting to come across the water and we'll see several inches to perhaps another foot. So western New York, this is going to be a favored zone south of Buffalo. Around Syracuse to Watertown, you better be watching for some of that snow. Take a look at a few more specific amounts before we go on to show you what's going on right now. 27 inches, that's Cortland, New York. Well, Syracuse, you already have 18 inches on the ground. It's going to be a snowy night. Hopefully you have snowshoes or perhaps a night to stay inside. Cross-country skis, that's another way to get around, I guess. High Point, New Jersey, 6 inches, and even Boone, North Carolina ended up with 6 inches of snow. Well, here's our big storm here, right on the border now, trying to get up toward Montreal and head out. Behind it, you notice how the winds will be coming in from the northwest and eventually shifting to west, and as everything lines up perfectly overnight tonight and tomorrow, that snow will start piling up in the snow belts, and it's going to be a cold, cold night to go along with it. So right now we have kind of spotty snow. It's not as heavy as it was earlier in the day. There's your radar. Around Syracuse, still snowing. This is all snow, by the way. Nantucket's reporting rain. And you might find a little bit of rain. It's still pretty mild as you get up into Maine, but it's probably just about all switched over by now. And all the way down to Charleston, West Virginia, some snow. So yeah, temperatures in the 20s through here. Bangor still 39. Actually, Caribou last hour was reporting rain, but notice it's pretty chilly, 36 degrees. 25 with the wind chill. Single digits all through here. A blustery night. There are gale or storm warnings in effect along the coast with this area of low pressure. Basically an offshore flow now, so no problems with coastal flooding in most locations. And this is your snowfall forecast. Now we've beefed it up some in the usual spots, the snow belts, where we could still get another 6 to 12 inches of snow, really, and after the fact, after the storm moves out. That second band of snow that you saw, the 1 to 3, that's associated with this clipper. So our main storm moves out. There's a huge swath of snow in between the two, and this one takes the southern route once again and brings the snow back in to places like Nashville and over toward Asheville. So you can kind of see how it's quickly working out of Missouri and heading south. You're going to get a little quick round here, Chattanooga, Atlanta, Birmingham now, a break, and then a chance of more snow overnight. How much will you get? Not much, actually. Most locations 1, maybe 2 inches. Higher elevations as much as 3. So we keep the snow going in the east. Look at this out of New York State. We'll show you more scenes of this snowy week and talk about the week to come coming up on WeatherScope.
It's out there. It's ice, and it fears only heat. Driveway heat from Presto melts up to 4 times more ice than rock salt with no messy residue. Get driveway heat and kiss your ice goodbye.
Presto and Driveway Heat Concentrated Ice Melter melts up to 4 times more ice than rock salt. Tomorrow for lake effect snow to begin kicking in, but first let's see what was going on in Syracuse earlier today. And many of you in Syracuse, New York had the snow blowers out today trying to dig out from the 18 inches of snow that fell. Police were advising that you only travel for emergencies. The airport was closed for most of the day but finally opened early this evening. In addition, tonight's Big East basketball game between Pittsburgh and Syracuse has been postponed because of the storm. And the snow indeed has been piling up here in New York and into northern Pennsylvania. Over a foot of snow has fallen since Sunday afternoon, and some of those totals pretty impressive here into Cortland, New York, over 2 feet of snow, Syracuse 18 inches. The list goes on and on as we head towards Pennsylvania and into High Point, New Jersey, half a foot of snow there, and the snow continuing to fall. But what we're also going to be looking out for is the lake effect snow to begin kicking in as those winds blow over the lake waters, those cold winds, and temperatures getting increasingly colder there now, and certainly some cold temperatures in Cato, New York, where Mike Seidel is joining us now live. And Mike, some windy conditions there. As a matter of fact, I just checked the odds and the wind chill 1 degree where you are.
It feels like that tonight, Kristina. Our temperature now 28, and that cold air from Canada will move in here tonight and tomorrow, and it's that colder air over the lake. Lake water temperatures now in the upper 30s will set off the heavier lake effect bands later tonight, and especially during the day on Wednesday. So driving tonight and again tomorrow, and for New Year's Eve, these secondary roads are snow-packed and slippery. The thruway's in pretty good shape, but if you're traveling out for New Year's Eve tomorrow, just be advised, if you're taking anything but the thruway, you'll probably have some problems. You'll have to slow down for sure. We've got wind and snow tonight here in Cato. Looking up, I'm in the middle of New York Highway 370, and you can see It's pretty quiet. Nice little town here off Lake Erie. And you can see the big snowbanks from all the snow that's already fallen. This is an area, by the way, that averages about 100 inches a year. So the snow continues. More snow tonight and tomorrow. Temperatures heading down to close to 0. That's without the wind chill by early on New Year's Eve. We'll keep you updated here in Western New York. Kristina, back to you in that warm studio.
Thanks a lot, Mike. Try to stay warm if you can.
Okay.
All right, we are joined now by senior meteorologist Tom Moore. And Tom, we are still watching the northeast, and it looks like the lake effect snow is already beginning in the western lakes, and we anticipate that moving on eastward too.
Right, Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. And then as the cold air becomes more firmly established over Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, we're going to see some intense snow bands as we move into tomorrow morning.
We're already seeing that on the map, plenty of snow in the northeast, but we do think that, as you mentioned, some heavier bands are going to be setting up here as we head into New York with those winds off the lakes.
Well, we have all the ingredients for heavy lake effect snow. Strong low move to the northeast, and then you notice the isobars are the change in pressure, the cyclonic circulation around the low. That provides a little lifting of the atmosphere, the moisture that you have. There's still a little moisture even left behind the low at that, and then coming over the lake, it picks up even more moisture. So you get these bands of lake effect snow. Now, we don't have as much lake to work with as we do with a westerly wind, like say off Lake Ontario, but still we'll get Georgian Bay, Lake Ontario lake effect, also south of Buffalo off Lake Erie and Lake Huron, east of Cleveland, south of Lake Michigan, also around Marquette in Michigan. So the lakes are active, and it's been a while since we've seen this kind of cold air over them.
Well, as you mentioned, the colder temperatures as we head to the north and west, temperatures are in the teens, so we are going to see some of that chillier air moving into New York.
Right, the colder air is over the Great Lakes, and then just say to the north of Lake Ontario, the real cold air, and eventually that'll sink to the south, and we'll get what we call instability. The lake temperature, as Mike pointed out, 38 degrees here in Lake Ontario, and the air going over it'll be below 0, so we have that difference. So we have warm, moist air rising into the colder that can't hold much moisture, and we're going to see even more heavy snow right around where Mike Seidel is.
Okay, we are already seeing the lake effect snow in the western lakes around Marquette, and as you mentioned, into parts of Indiana and Ohio. Do we think that's going to continue tonight?
Looks like that'll continue all night. You can see the stream coming there off Marquette and into southern Michigan, also east of Cleveland. Now, as tomorrow morning goes down toward noon, a little warmer air will come in aloft over those lakes, and we'll have a reduction in the lake effect snow machine, but not so in Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. That lake effect snow will continue right on through tomorrow evening.
Okay, Tom, thanks a lot for that info. We'll check back in with you in just a bit. But for now, we want to remind you that for all the weather information you need, you can check us out at weather.com. For now, we're going to head back to the studio for the rest of the country's weather with Dan Atkinson.
And thanks, Kristina. Elsewhere across the nation, it's quiet in the far west.